nothing back when it came to running against each other. Take a listen to the two taking jabs at each other over the other's health care plans.
Your plan does not cover everyone in America by your staff's and your own definition. You do nothing to hold the insurance companies to task for what they have been doing to American families.
I don't know what math you do anywhere in California, but I tell you, that's a lot of money, and there will be a deductible. The deductible will be out of your paycheck.
All right, and that's just one example of them clashing on the campaign trail. Let's bring in the editor-in-chief of the National Memo, Joe Conason. Joe, good to see you.
Good to be back.
Hey, Joe, you're on the inside. You talk to these folks all the time. You at the highest levels of the Democratic Party and in the Biden campaign. I honestly believed that the strongest pick was Susan Rice. I've laid out the reasons why. You tell me, was this the right pick? And if so, why? And how excited or not is your side of the aisle with her as the choice?
So looking at this from the Democratic perspective, what Democratic voters and people on our side of the aisle feel, although I'm not a strategist, I'm just a journalist, but my take is that most Democrats are pretty excited about this. They're happy about this. Certainly, you know, at the base of the party, which is made up at this point of African-American women, women of color, they are strongly excited by this, as far as I can tell. And I don't see a lot of, you know, dissent or rejection of it on the Democratic side. I also think it's a good choice because of that, because of her experience, because she has been tested on the big stage more than once. Not just in the presidential primary race, but also in the Senate, in high-profile hearings where she's taken on, you know, top Republicans. So I think she's a strong choice for those reasons. The other reason she's a good choice is because, on the one hand, she has a strong liberal voting record, which I think helps to unite the party. On the other hand, she's being attacked for anything. If for anything, about her record in criminal justice, which is where she's probably seen as more moderate. And I don't see how that hurts her in the broad electorate. I think that's probably helpful to her and to Biden at this point.
Joe, it does seem like the Democrats are very excited about this, but do you think, two-part question, one, it adds any votes, and what gap does she fill for Biden?
Well, I think it adds votes in the sense of an enthusiasm promotion. I think to the extent that there was any lack of enthusiasm for Biden himself, this helps to fill that gap because there's going to be a lot of enthusiasm for her, particularly among the bases I mentioned before. You know, clearly she doesn't bring California, you know, to the electoral vote tally. California was going to be there anyway. But I think that's a really old-fashioned way of looking at vice presidential nominees. I think it's rare that you win a state because you picked someone from that state to be on the ticket.
I want to bring into the conversation Republican strategist Lauren Claffey and get her take on this. Lauren, do you think that she is attractive to women who might be otherwise not inclined to vote for Donald Trump, sort of in the middle, if you will, who are looking for an alternative, or is she too progressive for that?
Those elusive suburban women voters that everyone always talks about. You know, I don't think that they vote based on gender. They vote on the opportunity and prosperity and security. They don't necessarily, they vote on the issues. They're not going to vote just because someone puts a woman on the ticket. And I think that's underestimating their intelligence a bit. So, you know, when people say that, you know, because she's a woman, she's going to appeal to these people that are in the middle, I don't think that's the case given her voting record.
Lindsay, do you agree with that? I mean, I think Lauren's got a great point there. I mean, to suggest that groups of voters are monolithic is always something that I thought was really silly. But do you think that she brings something exciting to women as potentially the first female vice president?
Yeah, look, I think that we can't disregard the fact that she is the first black woman on a big ticket like this. And I think that is a big moment for women. But to Lauren's point, when you look at her record, I don't think these swing voters who would move over for her, especially if you care about life. She has been 100% anti-pro-life in her record. And I don't think that that moves people over who might be voting on certain issues. I think that it does juice the base for sure on the Democratic Party. But to be honest, I don't think she gets any more votes just because she is a woman, even though this is a big moment for women of color.
Joe, is she, I think Biden had pretty much cemented the far left, right, and the base of the Democratic Party. Do you think that she drags him further to the left and makes it harder for him to make an appeal as Joe Biden, the moderate, pragmatic guy?
I don't think so, Sean, and I'll tell you why. I think her self-presentation is not radical. I think she comes across as somebody who is thoughtful and moderate and somebody who has handled big jobs, like Attorney General of a big state. And so I think there's a kind of an inherent appeal that is not necessarily the same thing as her actual voting record. Her actual voting record is very progressive, and I think that helps to cement the party. But I don't think her self-presentation is like a Sanders-style presentation. She comes across as something with a lot broader appeal. That's my guess. That's my thought.
Lauren, do you agree with that? I think that she's at least being painted, and I think rightly so, as a very far left progressive person. The policy items, not just the voting records, what she's advocated for is pretty extreme on the left.
Yeah, and she has a very liberal voting record. I mean, it was more liberal than Bernie Sanders and in the Senate, and I think that's important to note. But the New York Times is already painting her as a pragmatic moderate. So, you know, I think that there's going to be a rebranding of Harris, as we'll see in the future. And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter, right? Because the Biden campaign is going to be using her not to shore up any sort of progressive votes or any of those types of things for women's votes. They're going to use her to go attack and be on the attack mode for Donald Trump, Mike Pence, every policy, press release, everything that they put out, because that's what they see in her is the prosecutor, the person who was at the hearing, you know, drilling down on Brett Kavanaugh and others. And so I think that's what they're really looking for from her, is to do what Joe Biden can't do effectively, which is go on the attack mode.
Yeah, exactly. Joe, Lauren, appreciate your insights and breaking down this VP pick. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, you hear from us a lot on the show, and now we want to hear from you. We love getting your feedback, and we would love to hear if you have any ideas for us or issues with our programming. Just let us know. You can go online to newsmaxtv.com/feedback and let us know what you think. We're all ears here. All right, well, still to come, our China Threat series continues. Texas Congressman Mike McCall is here to discuss the country's military expansion and what's being done to hold China accountable. Plus, it's no secret, China wants